Protector Adv Busisiwe Mkhwebane was suspended by President Cyril Ramaphosa last month and is now awaiting the outcome of a parliamentary inquiry in which she risks being impeached for misconduct. Mkhwebane has said she would challenge Ramaphosa's decision, claiming it was done in contempt of court. Now, while the process heads towards completion, questions are being asked about whether the office of the Public Protector is becoming a political battleground. Professor Sethulego Matebesi is of the view that it is and warns that work needs to be done to de-politicize it. Prof, good evening and welcome. What's interesting is that you write that despite the public assurances about the independence of Chapter 9 institutions, we've witnessed how these institutions have been used to fight the battles of the political elite. You also note that political encroachment is happening not only under Advocate Mkhwebane, but also under Advocate Thuli Madonsela's tenure. Please explain.
Hi, good evening, and good evening to South Africans. We have seen on numerous occasions, and one example that I can just give is the recent handover of the Zondo Commission report. By law and by our constitution, it has been handed over to our president, and that's where the problem starts. But we can't blame our current president, but fact of the matter is, once a political decision has to be taken, once a Chapter 9 institution has made a recommendation, that becomes a political issue. And that's why my argument in the opinion piece to say that political meddling is actually, eroding the confidence that South Africans had in this Chapter 9 institution, including your Public Protector office. Well, one cannot take away some of the mistakes that the current suspended Public Protector made, but fact of the matter is it has become a highly politicized office.
We'll circle back to that question in a minute, but why is it an existential threat to democracy?
It is an essential threat because at the end of the day, it all depends on one individual, and that is the president. And we all know what South Africa is currently facing in terms of even the challenges that our president is facing. Now, perhaps one would be naive to think along those lines, but no one can blame the president if he's going to take political considerations before actually putting South Africa first. And that's where the problem is. You need an office of the Public Protector where whoever has to take a decision will put the interest of South Africans first.
Well, I want to put this to you. Is it naive of us to expect that the toxic perfume of political interference or inferred political interference, when the matters that the Public Protector's Office looks into are inherently political? And we only have to think in our recent memory of CR17 and that donation. Yes, the North Gauteng High Court found against Advocate Mkhwebane on the matter involving the president and those donations, particularly with relation to Bosasa, but it still left questions politically about the president's non-disclosure on who funded his campaign. And, by consequence, then, it forces this office into the arena of political focus, doesn't it?
No, the issue is not about the focus of the office. No, definitely not. What I'm advancing here is that the very same example that you're advancing there are making. You can't have the president being investigated, but yet he himself, at the end of the day, has to make a decision. What are we trying to do? For me, it's a public relations exercise. You need somebody independent. When the presidency is involved in any investigations, you can't expect of the president to make that decision. But as I've indicated, you can't blame the president for this. This is a decision that we have taken constitutionally, protected his prerogative. The Public Protector's Office needs to investigate political matters because, as you correctly state, yes, most of these matters are political, but at the end of the day, if you still expect the very same politicians that are involved in this investigation or implicated, to take a decision, then we will be sitting with this vicious cycle of attacking, the office of the public protector instead of dealing with the fundamental grievances against politicians.
Right. So against that backdrop, this is an office whose existence is defined in law. It is a baby draped in legal clothing that, should, on the face of it, inoculate it from influence or interference. How then, Prof, can it achieve that where, where, as you argue, its founding precepts seem to be unable to do so?
Yeah, well, it starts with the individuals that we appoint, but unfortunately, once again, South Africans are at the mercy of politicians. We knew from the outset there has been numerous complaints even before Advocate Mkhwebane set foot in our office about a background and stuff like that. So one way to go forward, we've got another glorious opportunity to appoint somebody, and I don't buy any inch means that Advocate Mkhwebane was not independent, but we need a man or a woman who will ascend to that office and not give in to political pressure. This is unfortunately the problem that we are experiencing throughout South Africa. We've got professionals appointed as chief financial officers, but they cower under the political pressure and they do things that they're not supposed to do. And that's why there's perhaps also a question mark around tertiary institutions about the kind of training that we provide these people who are sent to these offices. But for me, an independent individual who will put the interest of South Africans first and act without fear and favor, that for me will be a starting point.
Professor Matebesi, thank you very much for your time and for your scholarship and for sharing it with us. We appreciate it.